What are Ukrainian and Russian women's sexual values? Are you often embarrassed to ask your Russian or Ukrainian girl about her attitude towards sex? But we know how much each of you is curious about it. Ukrainian and Russian ladies often are considered to be cold and not very emotional. This stereotype is partially true, and lots of Ukrainian and Russian ladies might seem cold to you at the very beginning, but it has nothing to do with their sexual values and preferences. So this time, we from Best Matchmaking will tell you what you wanted to know most of all: Russian women's sexual values. Ready? Let's start. Russian women's sexual values. What do Russian women think of sex before marriage? Lots of Western men believe that Russian and Ukrainian females still do not believe in sex before marriage. This is another stereotype. Of course, most Russians and Ukrainian women are Christian, and Christian values say that sex before marriage is bad. But let's not forget that Russian and Ukrainian women are modern people who live in step with the times. Their views on life and relationships have changed a long time ago. They date boys and live with men in civil marriages for many years. However, ladies who still believe they won't have any sexual relationship until marriage still exist. And if you are looking for exactly such a lady, don't lose your hope to find her. Such girls are rare but still exist. Although an overall tendency is having sexual relationships before marriage is absolutely common and normal. What do statistics say? According to a survey conducted by the Levada Center in Russia in 2001, Russian people started to change their outlook on sexual relationships. Thus, the statistics in 2001 were the following. 54% of Russians replied that sex before marriage was not acceptable. 34% of people replied that sex before marriage was acceptable. But the most interesting fact is that the same survey conducted in 2019 showed an absolutely different tendency. 58% of Russians replied that sex before marriage was not acceptable. 24% of people replied that sex before marriage was acceptable. This means that people started to think more conservatively about having sex before marriage. Although modern people have more open views on relationships, they still consider that men and women should have intimate relationships and marriage only. Now about dating a Russian women rules. Lots of Western men believe Russian and Ukrainian women are as cold as stones in bed. That's because they do not express many emotions towards men when meeting you for the first time. They are also pretty skeptical when it comes to online dating and foreigners who often come to their countries as sex tourists. But once they do decide to go intimate with you, this coldness disappears. With their beloved men, they are the warmest and hottest women in the world. But this will only happen in relationships. If you accept the same attitude in the first meeting, forget about it. Rule number 1. Sex on a first date happens rarely. Lots of men wouldn't mind having sex on their first date, and this really happens. But it will hardly happen with a Russian or Ukrainian woman, especially if you are a foreigner. Russians and Ukrainians are cautious about foreigners coming to their countries. It happens because of a vast number of sex tourists coming to Russia and Ukraine in search of easy girls. They are not sure about your intentions during your first meeting and cannot trust you at once, even if you have communicated for a long time before your meeting. You might be surprised, but the intentions of lots of men on dating sites are far from being pure, and our women face that problem already. So if a Ukrainian or Russian woman doesn't express much passion on your first date, don't be surprised. It doesn't mean she's cold or isn't attracted to you. Rule number 2. Foreplay is a must. When you finally have your intimate relationships with a Ukrainian or Russian woman, remember that they prefer having foreplay before their main course. If you don't get used to it and believe that getting straight to the point is right, then you might fail. You probably have watched movies with erotic scenes and beautiful foreplays, so you should know that Russian and Ukrainian girls also love this. They are natural romantics, and romance accompanies not only their dates, but their sexual life as well. Moreover, arousing any woman before having sex with her is your benefit. Women adore men who take care of their interests in bed. Thus, if you do it, you can be sure it will be very rewarding. she will give you much more in return. Rule number 3. Russian and Ukrainian women are different in their sexual preferences. When speaking about Russian women's sexual values, let's not forget there are different women among them. All of them have different sexual values and preferences. Millions of women in Russia and Ukraine cannot love the same positions and the same attitudes. So if you're wondering whether Russian and Ukrainian women are mostly dominant or subordinate, you should know that they are different. Some of them love to dominate, others want you to dominate. Everything depends on you and your particular partner. Sexual preferences do not depend on a woman's location or origin. This is a very individual thing. Thus, you need to find out in the process of building a relationship with your woman. If you are created for each other, you will match each other in bed also perfectly. Ukrainian and Russian women want to be seductive in the eyes of their men. Even though Russian and Ukrainian women are often modest, they believe a woman should be a mistress in the kitchen and a prostitute in bed. Don't worry, this is all for her husband. Our women can be very passionate and seductive when it comes to their beloved. When a woman believes she is beautiful, she is open with her man and wants to give him a lot. Your task is to ensure your lady she is the most beautiful and desired lady for you. And we assure you that you will get a lot in return. When a Ukrainian or Russian woman knows that you love making love with her, she turns into a goddess. But women still prefer when a man is dominating, so try to do it from time to time at least, even if you do not like it. Conclusion: Russian women's sexual values are not difficult to guess. We from Best Matchmaking have told you about the Ukrainian and Russian women's sexual values and their sexual preferences. The bottom line is as follows. Russian and Ukrainian women accept sex before marriage. Sexual appeal is one of the most important factors for them in relationships. Russian and Ukrainian women welcome foreplay. They rarely sleep with men on the first date. Russian and Ukrainian women can both be dominating and submissive. Now, please let us know if this video tutorial was useful. Would you like to know more about what Ukrainian and Russian women's sexual values, lifestyles, and much more are? If so, then leave your comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel of Best Matchmaking Marriage Agency. Best Matchmaking Marriage Agency is a leading matchmaking agency with more than 12 years of experience. If you find online dating as well as dating apps to be a waste of time, then you're welcome to join our website where our professional matchmakers will surely help to select the right match.